Hello and welcome back to another exciting episode of Red Dot Forum Camera Talk. As always, I am your host, David Farkas, joined by Josh Lehrer.
Hey, everybody.
And over there, producing the show, we've got Jose Rivera.
Hello, hello.
In the little box. Where's Jose?
Where's Jose? There's no box.
There's no Jose box.
He doesn't want to be seen. He's feeling very shy today, so you have to cut him some slack.
He's fragile. He's fragile.
His box is
Hey!
broken. Oh, his box is not broken. Hooray.
There he is.
There's the box.
All right, everyone say hi to Jose.
It's right there.
Perfect.
Hello, hello, hello.
All right. So for today's episode, we are taking a look at one of Leica's new and I would say highly anticipated for a long time product, which we finally have, and we are going to talk about today. So what is that, Josh?
Well, this is Leica's newest release. It is the DLux-8. If you are familiar with Leica's product portfolio over the last 20 or so years, you probably know the DLux line. Essentially, it is their line of compact or point-and-shoot digital cameras. And it's been 6 years since we saw the last DLux, which was the DLux-7.
Yes.
And we didn't really know if we would see another one, did we?
Honestly, I didn't expect it.
Yeah.
I thought this was basically the end of compact cameras from Leica. Once they phased out the DLux-7 and it became increasingly hard to find, and shipments sort of, slowed down to a trickle and then nothing. Same happened with the VLux as well. Yeah. And yeah, I think we basically said, okay, the market just can't support it, and Leica doesn't see the value in investing in, in the R&D necessary to create a new model. And, I guess, we've been kind of spoiled with phones, right? And that's the very obvious elephant in the room, right?
Right.
Everyone carries around a camera with them now in their pocket.
Okay. Started the stream.
Okay. Not sure if anyone can hear us yet. We're working on it.
We're working on it. We're bringing ourselves back to life here.
Hey,
I see some people. Let's make sure things are running smoothly before we dive too deeply into any amazing, exciting, and informative content that you expect from us. Hey, thank you, Charles, for letting us know we're back.
Let's do it.
Cool.
Wow.
Where do we're talking about the Q4P monochrome?
Oh, but no, we're done.
We missed that. Yeah, we covered that in the last 10 minutes. So
right. Yeah, it's all done now.
we were giving them away.
Right.
Well,
we're talking actually about the M12R.
Oh no! That's right.
Oh.
The one that has the anti-gravity that floats. Yeah.
See, what happens is the black helicopters came and they cut our internet feed. And that was that.
All right.
All right. We are back. Sorry for the technical difficulties.
Thank you for sticking it out with us, whoever's left.
Thank you for sticking it out with us.
Anyway,
we were saying.
Yes.
I was talking about iPhones and how everyone has a camera in their pocket with various lens options. Now. There's wide angle, ultra wide angle, telephoto options that we didn't have just a few years ago. So logic would have had it that why would Leica work on a compact camera when basically the entire rest of the camera market has abandoned?
Well, I think it's also important to mention, because this is not a secret, that the collaboration between Leica and Panasonic is how these compact cameras really, well, I don't want to say came to be because they started with Fuji, I think, but
sure.
The last 20 years, that relationship with Leica and Panasonic has been integral to the DLux and VLux line existing. And in 2022, Panasonic said they're not going to make compact cameras anymore.
They
got out of this. So you and I both were like, well, I guess that's
the end. That's it.
That's why this was such a huge surprise.
Right.
A pleasant surprise.
Yeah. And yet here we are with a new compact camera.
Yeah.
The DLux-8. So it is a little surprising. And I think also... Josh, you had the opportunity to take the camera on an actual trip and use it.
Yes.
And you took some, not scientific, but you took some rough comparison shots.
Sure.
To compare the experience of shooting with your phone.
Right, because like everyone else, like David, I shoot with my iPhone all the time. I have a 14 Pro. I'm a little bit out of date now, but I know I'm not cool.
Oh, awkward.
But, I would certainly understand if somebody kind of coming off out of the cold would say, well, why do I need a point-and-shoot camera? I have an iPhone.
Exactly.
And I didn't think about it at the time, but doing some, like you said, informal side-by-side shooting, and then now, a month later, looking at the images from my phone from the same situation that the DLux is in, it's kind of like, oh, that's why I use a compact camera.
Right.
Because,
And I don't want to do a spoiler alert here, but I have found, and anytime someone has asked me, and I say, yeah, of course I use my camera phone, and it looks great as long as it stays on the phone screen.
That's right.
As soon as it migrates from the phone screen to my MacBook screen, or even worse, to my external 32-inch display,
forget it. Yeah.
all bets are off.
Or if you want to print it, or if you want to edit it, or if you want to crop it, or if you want to do anything with it.
Exactly.
Other than, but
Look
I don't
at it
want
on
to
your
knock. I mean, I think it's amazing how far camera phones have come.
They have.
I don't want to knock, I don't want to discredit the zillions of engineers working on that
No.
tech, and the future is exciting. But what makes me very happy is the fact that there's still a place for an admittedly higher end, but still a place for a high-end
Exactly.
compact camera in 2024.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
Which is, it makes me feel good, and it's gratifying, because if I had got out and used it and was like, oh, these are just look like my phone pictures,
Then
that would
what-
have been,
right.
I mean,
You would've
I knew that wouldn't be the case.
But you'd be
you know.
disappointed.
Exactly. So, David, why don't you give us a quick rundown of the basic DLux-8 specs?
As compared to, or just
Just on its own, because it's been 6 years since the DLux-7.
Yeah.
I'm not.
Let's
I kind of want to give the
Move
DLux-8
that. It's
like
props.
its own entrance. I don't want to
Sure.
necessarily start talking about how it compares yet, because
Yeah.
I think a lot of people who are getting into Leica within those last 6 years probably aren't that familiar with the DLux-7 anyway.
Sure.
And you can't get them anymore. So let's focus on the here and now.
The here and the now.
Let's talk a little bit of DLux-7 goodness.
Sure. DLux-8 goodness.
What did I say? 7?
You said 7.
That's a Freudian slip right there.
Awkward.
Awkward. I'm not used to it yet. I'm not used to it rolling off the tongue like that. So, David.
David. All right.
Can we see David there?
He's working on it.
Okay. I know there's more. And or we just go to if we want to just have the camera without David in it,
That's fine.
or me in it either.
Do, do, do,
And not that I don't like looking at myself. I got the beard going,
There it is.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
I am holding a camera without holding a camera. It's magic. Woo. Okay. Josh is doing the holding for me right now because we only have one DLux-8. We're just using one.
That's right.
One overhead. Okay. So the DLux-8, it's around 400 grams. We've got a 21 megapixel CMOS sensor that's a micro four thirds sensor, which is going to be essentially a half frame sensor, half of 35 millimeter. And the lens we have is a 24 to 75 millimeter equivalent. Because it's micro four thirds, basically it's going to be half of that focal length. So it'll be a 12 to 30?
Well, it's a 24 to 75. Did you say
24 to
70?
75, yeah.
Yeah. So and it's actually a 10.9 to 34.
Right, it's a little wider. Right.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll get into
yeah,
that.
yeah.
Yeah. So 10.9 to 34, but equivalent to a 24 to 75, f1.7 at the wide end, f2.8 at the long end, which is very fast for both of those things,
Yeah.
especially in a compact camera. And we did see this lens on the DLux-7. And you know what? It's just like on the Q. When you have a really good lens, especially in a compact camera, there's no reason to change it.
Right.
It's fantastic. It's great for low light. It has good close focus ability. With a macro mode that's switchable on the side there, if you can show the side.
Yes.
So you have a physical control to switch from autofocus macro, and manual focus, which is great. We also have, and on top, we have an aspect ratio control. So you can switch from, I can't actually read that, but 16:9, 2 to 3, 4 to 3, 1 to 1.
Yes, 3:2, 16:9, 1 to 1, and 4 to 3.
And 4 to 3. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it has a variable aspect ratio sensor. So the sensor itself is slightly larger. It's 21 megapixel, but when you put it in 3 to 2 or, any of the other aspect ratios, it cuts that down to 17 megapixels effective.
Yeah.
Which, again, if we're looking at this as a always have companion camera that most directly compares to how would this be versus your phone, we're talking about very similar resolution specs, but I think you're going to see ultimately this is a much higher quality because the sensor is so much larger and the lenses are so much larger on here than what you have on the phone.
Well, that's to me also, the lens is probably the most unique advantage. If you compare this to something like a CL or a TL or a Q or some of the other cameras in the market that have APS-C or larger sensors, is as the sensor gets bigger, the lens gets bigger. And to make compromises, you either have primes versus zooms, or you have slower maximum aperture lenses. So the cool thing about the fact that it uses a micro four thirds sensor allows you to have not only a 24 to 75 zoom, but a lens that's f1.7 at the wide end
Oh, yeah.
and f2.8 at the long end, which is spectacular. If you think about, can I grab that CL real quick?
Yeah, for sure.
You know, a camera that we all know and miss dearly, which is the Leica CL, which is, you know, very, very similar in size to the DLux-8, a little bit beefier.
It's
but
bigger, yeah.
It's got a much larger sensor, but this lens, which is kind of actually almost the same size as the lens on the DLux-8, is only an 18 and it's 2.8 because it has to cover such a large sensor area. So that's, to me, the real advantage of having a Micro Four Thirds sensor is the fact that you can have a lens with a very viable and real-world usable focal length range and maximum aperture range without it being unwieldy. I mean, really, you can see it's not very big. Like these are my hands. Here's an iPhone for comparison. It's a little bit. Well, everyone knows
It's a little thicker.
well, I'm saying the lengthwise, it's a little bit thinner, like this way. Obviously, it's thicker the other way. But anyway, the big takeaway from all my years of shooting with these compact cameras that Leica has made is that because they were made in conjunction with Panasonic, the menu system, the operating system was very, very different from the mainline Leica product. So even going back to the M9 days with the DLux-4, all the way up to the DLux-7, if you picked up, let's say, a Q, original Q, and you picked up a DLux-7, you wouldn't, if you knew how to use one, you wouldn't automatically know how to use the other.
Yeah, there was a learning curve involved because of that shared development with Panasonic. The menu system and the functions and the names of things and some of the weird,
Right.
it wasn't very Leica-like.
Correct. So to me, the biggest change from past compact cameras to now, and there's a lot of changes, but the biggest one from a want to pick it up and use it perspective is it is now the familiar Leica interface that we know and love, similar to what we see on the Q3, on the Q2, on the SL2.
Yes.
Not on the SL3. It's not, that's kind of the next gen.
Right.
But it's both the button layout and the menu layout is very, very familiar. So if I hand you a DLux-8 and you have any modern Leica camera from the last 5-6 years, you are not going to have an issue learning how to use it.
Right. And that's always been an advantage across the, let's say, the main system camera lineup of Leica.
Yeah.
Whether you use an SL or a Q or an M, any one of those that you pick up, they have a unified menu interface.
Yeah.
They have buttons where you expect them to be. They do the same thing that you expect them to do.
Right.
Right. So that's one of the strong suits, I think, of Leica in that you can you basically just become fluent in Leica UI, not in this camera, that camera, the other camera. It really shortens that learning curve, and it allows we've talked about this before, an SL shooter to easily add a Q into their system because it's an and camera. It complements it naturally. And the same can be said of an M11 shooter adding in a Q to their system because it's a very natural add-in camera that gives them autofocus and all the other things. Here, we now have another option for that add-on camera.
Yeah.
Whether you're an SL shooter, an M shooter, a Q shooter.
Right.
Now, the DLux-8 becomes a kind of it's a low cost of entry.
Relatively,
relative to the other ones, right?
Right.
And gives you that familiar touch, feel, experience that you have with the other cameras, and there's no learning curve involved.
Correct. I think it's important, just now looking back at the DLux-7 to the DLux-8, is the things that mattered, the things that we liked the best, which was the sensor / image quality and the lens / lens performance, are carried over from the DLux-7.
Yes, but there's been notable improvements.
Well, right. I'm getting there. Sure. So I'm talking about when I pick up a DLux-7, when I was using it,
this one,
I would say, wow, I love the image quality. We had 20 by 30 prints in our store from the DLux-7.
We do.
But the user interface was challenging. I mean, I don't have.
Yes.
I said it when it was current, and I'll say it now. It's not like this is
right.
I'm not a new opinion. It's a complicated menu system, and it's got a lot of buttons. And then one of the first things that I would do when we have a customer in the store, they come and they pick up their new DLux-7, is I start disabling all the buttons, the weird buttons, and simplifying the menu for both their sake and my sake. But the things we liked were the image quality and the lens.
Absolutely.
So my dream was always, why can't Leica just take all the things that we like and put it in a system, in a body that's familiar to us? And that's exactly what they did. When the DLux-8 came out, I couldn't believe it because it was like, wait, this is exactly what I wanted.
But with more.
Well, that's the cool
Right.
part. So now we know the basics of what's carried over from the
Yes.
DLux-7, which is the micro four thirds sensor with 17 usable megapixels
Sure.
and the 24 to 75 zoom lens. David, kind of walk us through some of the major changes aside from the
Absolutely.
menu, which we just
Right.
talked about.
I'm gonna have you demonstrate
I
again.
got you.
Okay. Jose, if you please. There we go. No,
Oh,
that's what,
almost.
That's Josh. That's Josh.
There
There,
we
we go. Okay. So taking a look at this and maybe just throw a DLux-7 next to it.
Okay,
Maybe
we'll
turn it off.
Yeah, I got you.
Okay. So there's a DLux-7 on the top there. And, you know, there is some similarities. You can see, Josh is going to do my best Vanna White here. So you can see that both of them do have a standard shutter speed dial. And they do have a standard aperture ring, similar to what we find on the Q, with A settings on both of those. Meaning you can, if you set A on the aperture, it gives you aperture.
Priority.
Well, no, not aperture. It gives you shutter priority or full automatic.
Right, yes, yeah.
If you set an aperture manually on the lens, you're in aperture priority.
Right, yes.
If you set the lens to A and the aperture ring to A, and you set a shutter speed manually, you're now in shutter priority. If you set both of them manually, you're in full manual. So there is no mode dial, there's no anything like that.
Right.
Which, again, it's just like the Q.
Yes.
Okay, so that hasn't changed. But if you look at the right edge of the top of the camera, you will see a notable difference. So we've gone from a dedicated EV exposure compensation wheel to the familiar push button. Josh, you can demonstrate. Yep, it clicks and it turns.
Right, so this is the same thing that we see on the Q2 and the Q3.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. So that is now assignable. It defaults, I believe, to ISO control.
Yeah, well, the way that the dial works does depend on if you press the button or not, just like on the
Right.
Q. But if you don't press the button, then
EV.
it's exposure compensation by
Yep.
default. It's similar to the Q where it depends on the mode you're in, but if you're in aperture priority mode or program mode, the dial becomes exposure compensation. If you press it, by default, it's ISO, which is how I use it. If you're in shutter priority or manual, it allows you to use the intermediate shutter speeds or the speeds faster than a 2000 or slower than a second.
Right.
You can change that to always be exposure compensation, but then you have to go into the menu to change the shutter speeds, which I find a little bit cumbersome. So
Yeah,
I keep
okay.
it on auto for that reason.
But the default behavior, as we're talking about.
Right. So somebody's saying that the EV dial was cool, which I agree, but it still
it's still
can
the
do
EV
the same
dial.
thing.
Right.
It's just not
dial.
not engraved as such, and you can actually change it if you want.
Right. Now, there is something that's missing and something that's moved. So if you look at the DLux-7, you can see the on-off switch was there. Okay, now the on-off switch has been moved
Here.
right there, which, again, is more in line with the other cameras. The button that it took the place of is actually a button that says 4K, which was a video recording button on the DLux-7.
No,
No?
I know.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what?
You forgot. Well,
did
David
forget.
forgot for a reason because it's a very weird.
Oh, it is
it's like
weird.
4K post photo.
Yeah. I'm ignoring it.
Yeah, we're
Okay.
ignoring that. I'm glad.
Thank you for reminding me.
Yeah, it's okay.
I-
I basically disabled this button. This is one of the buttons that I disabled as
Right.
soon as.
Okay, so it's not a 4K movie. Actually, it's similar to on your phone where it would take a long series of basically video still frames, and then you pick the one. Anyway,
Yeah.
I don't know of any.
All right. Should be on.
Put the cameras back there. Hey. All right.
we back? Let's wait for people to say that they see us back.
If you can hear us,
before we
clap
start
once.
rambling on again.
Oh my gosh.
So anyone who sticks it out with us through this whole show and we inevitably have another crash will get a free Subway gift card.
No affiliation.
No, I mean like the New York Subway, not the restaurant.
Oh, the New
Yeah,
York Subway.
yeah,
You get
yeah.
an MTA card.
Exactly,
Yeah.
which I don't even really use anymore.
Hold
But
on, no sound. They're not hearing us.
no sound. We can use. I don't know any
Oh,
sign.
make sure we're not muted there.
I don't know any sign language, so
Is it muted?
no, everybody's well.
Oh, good again? Yeah, we're good. Okay.
Okay, let's see how long we can go this
Yay.
time. Let's see if we can make it through the next 20 minutes without another catastrophic. Anyway, but we're not going to dwell on our problems. We're going to focus on the exciting stuff we have to talk about.
Wow.
So
We're getting back to the
let's go
comparisons.
back. Where we were left off was David and I were discussing the changes between the DLux-7 and the DLux-8.
That is what we were doing.
We're going to dive right back in and
We are.
hopefully still be interesting.
Okay. Always interesting.
Okay. Let's come back to this view Jose,
All right.
if you're able to. Cool. It may take a bit longer to do our little like camera view changes.
We
because-
unplugged a misbehaving
yeah. So we appreciate your
broadcasting
patience.
accessory that will go unnamed on this stream and
Anyway.
forevermore in the
Anyway,
studio.
back to it. So we talked about what did we talk about? The power switch.
All the things on top.
We didn't talk about the fact that now there is a
Oh, we
threaded
didn't.
shutter button,
We should show that.
which is something they added on the Q3. So now the DLux-8 has the ability to accept a soft release, which is something we first saw on the Q3. Sorry, hard to do from this angle. There we go. This is the bronze Komaru, which looks super, super cool on there. So, a nice little change. We still have the same zoom rocker switch. We still have the same hot shoe, the same microphone. You will notice that the shutter speed dial is a bit changed up. On the DLux-7, it has both a 4000 minus and a T position. They got rid of that on this to sort of make it more legible, and those functions are still available in the menu. So you're not losing any of the faster or slower shutter speeds. It's the same. You're just making a more legible shutter speed dial for the speeds you're more likely to use most of the time. So I think
Exactly.
someone asked about that. That was the difference there. Otherwise,
Let's
the
take a
top.
quick look on the front
Let's do it.
because there is a
Isn't
definite, the cosmetic difference.
Well,
Again, so the
there we go.
The wrapping, yeah. So you see, and Josh, you pointed there. So you have a bare metal on the DLux-7 on the bottom there, and on the top on the DLux-8, you'll notice it's that same diamond hatch pattern.
Luxurious Corinthian
Leatherette.
leather.
No, it's not Corinthian leather. Leather. Someone's gonna sue Leica. Well, mine not leather. So it's that same diamond crosshatch pattern that you see on the Q.
Trying to like get a good reflection.
Yep. Yeah, you
Yeah,
can
it's
see-
really, it feels,
and it's not a fingerprint magnet, which
it
is
feels
nice.
much more premium. I mean, objectively, just picking up these two cameras, it really does feel it feels like a baby Q in terms of the way it handles.
And I think that's what Leica was going for sure. Okay. Now let's look on the back side.
Ooh.
Ooh.
Well, we should do the side first.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah. We should do the
Make
side.
sure you get the right side.
Yeah, there we go. Okay. Just to show the difference in the ports, Dave.
Yeah, let's do it. Okay. If you come back to me. Okay. So, DLux-7 is on
The right.
On the right side.
Yes.
Okay. So you'll notice that is on the top by Josh's finger, that is a micro USB port.
Right. A very hard to find
Very
cable these days.
esoteric micro USB.
Yep.
That is slow. It's USB 2. And then you'll see the HDMI port under that.
And it's an HDMI mini
something,
micro. It's a weird HDMI port.
Yeah. Now, if you look at the DLux-8 on the left, you will notice that is a much more standard, and you can use this as a prop. Much more standard USB Type-C 3.1. There you go. Did you put it in the correct one?
Yes.
Okay.
What kind of question is that? Get out of here.
There you go.
Okay.
Okay, so that is now used to charge your battery because it has fast charging built in, as well, since it's USB 3.1, I think Gen 2, if I'm not mistaken.
I believe so, yeah.
So it's going to be nice and speedy if you want to transfer these directly to your computer for download. Or is it MiFi capable?
No.
It's not yet. Not yet.
Yeah, I think that's we're still a generation
waiting.
behind.
We're waiting,
They're working
right.
on it, in terms of like the newer cameras becoming
Yeah.
MiFi compatible. So so the big deal here is USB-C, but I do want to address something that has been brought up to us a couple of
Let's
times.
come back to that.
We'll come back to us regarding the USB-C, and then we'll talk about the back of the camera.
Yeah,
Cool.
for sure.
So the DLux Type 109 came with a standalone battery charger. Looked like this.
DLux 109 here.
The DLux 109, yep, from 2014. The DLux-7 omitted this, and you got a little USB power adapter and a little USB cord, which made sense because it was a very difficult cord to find if you didn't get it from Leica. So it was like really proprietary and very specific. The DLux-8 does not come with any charging apparatus. So there's no cord, there's no charger, there's no power adapter. And some of the first, there's not too many of these out there yet, but some of the first cameras that got delivered, people were asking me like,
Where's the power?
where's the cable?
Right.
And the reality is that now that the camera is USB-C, that cable is so ubiquitous, inexpensive, and easy to find that I guess Leica decided just not to include it.
Right.
Probably for a combination of reasons. Certainly they weren't going to make it themselves, so that's another supplier they'd have to go and find.
Exactly.
I mean, added cost is nominal, but of course, if you look at how much Leica charges for their own USB-C cable and power adapter, it's a lot. Because clearly they're not making these in high volume,
No.
and they're not going to make another USB-C cable for the DLux-8 specifically.
Right. The reality is, anyone with a newer iPhone,
Right.
or even the last few generations of iPad Pro, or many generations of Android phone, or any modern computer, whether it's a MacBook or a Windows computer, they all take USB-C
Right.
charging.
Right.
So the theory is you already have, I know I do, I have piles of these cables at home everywhere in, most every room that I spend time in, whether it's my bedroom or my home office or the kitchen. There's charging cables everywhere because wherever you need to plug a device in, you can plug a device in. But I mean, the good news is I have one of these in my car.
That's
and
right.
you could
Everywhere.
charge your camera
Yeah.
in your car.
So just like we see on the SL3,
Yeah.
the M11, and the Q3, now this comes into that
Yes.
same family. So if you get a DLux-8, there is not a cable or a charger in the box. Do not despair. You really have three options. You have the USB-C charging via a cable or a power adapter, or a power brick. What do they call those things?
Yes, like
a power bank. Thank you. English.
Oh, you mean the battery bank?
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
Or you can go out and source one of these on the used market, these old DC 15U battery chargers. However, because the battery in the DLux-8 is the same as the DLux-7 and the same as the 109, there have been 10 years worth of third-party companies making aftermarket battery chargers. There's single chargers, dual chargers. So if you go online, I'm not going to say where specifically, but you can figure it out, and just search Leica D-Lux, either 109, 7, or 8 battery charger, because all the same battery,
Yep.
you can find inexpensive aftermarket charging solutions. Just a heads up.
If you want that.
If you want that.
Because these are no longer available, just to be
Correct.
clear.
Correct.
Okay.
Let's talk about the most important changes that we've seen, I think, which are in the back of the
You
camera.
need a lens cloth before you do that.
Little
We don't want to scar anybody. All right, here we
That
go.
one's pretty gross.
We've already done enough damage tonight.
It's okay. It's okay. Here we go. And
Go. Okay.
Get it positioned perfectly. There we go.
There you go. All right, let me take the wheel here, Jose.
He's working on it.
There we go. Okay. So this looks very different now. The top just moved a couple things around, but we have some pretty dramatic changes on the backside. So Josh, let's start all the way in the upper left. And you can even see the size of the EVF there. You can see that the eye cup.
Sorry, it's hard
is-
to like angle the both.
That's
at the
okay.
same time.
The
Yeah,
eye cup is much larger. The DLux-8 is on the bottom. DLux-7 is on the top. And we now have, for the first time in a compact camera, a Leica compact camera, this is an OLED EVF. Very, very nice upgrade. Josh and I have both used this camera, and it is a really good viewfinder.
Yeah, I
mean,
think the DLux-7 finder was just kind of there, and it was fine, but nobody ever said it was exceptional, even when it came out. The DLux-8 finder is excellent. I mean,
It
it's Q2 level, I think.
Yeah.
Not as quite as big, but it's very,
really good,
very
yeah.
usable. You don't have to feel like you're compromising when you're using it. You just
Exactly.
put it up to your eye, and it works.
Yeah, so it's got really nice brightness, really good color fidelity, very crisp. Easy again with the built-in diopter to adjust it.
Yeah, it's a much nicer diopter setup now. Like this is really sort of hard to reach on
Kind of
the
finicky,
setting.
and now this one, you
Yeah,
can.
it's
The
really,
dial
really
is
nice on
good.
the DLux-8. Yeah.
Okay, so then moving across the top, you'll notice that we don't have the kind of those 4 small buttons at the top that are dedicated, especially the dreaded record video button.
Yeah, right
that
there,
a lot
yeah.
of people would hit by accident because it's where your thumb goes. So there was a lot of feedback about that. So now, if you look on the back of the DLux-8, you'll notice that it has 2 custom function buttons, very similar to the latest
Q3.
Q3.
Yeah.
And they're both assignable with a long press and then activated with a short press.
Correct.
Similar, again, to every other major Leica camera. Working down the side, that the thumb rest, kind of aggressive thumb rest on the DLux-7 has now been scaled back to a more Leica proportioned thumb rest. Again, more in line with what you'd find on the Q. And working down, now you just see play and menu flanking the top and bottom of a direction pad with a center button press. Versus
Has this little wheel.
the wheel, the button press, the direction
I mean, you can
pad.
basically look at there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 controls here, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So there's 30% less controls doing basically the same thing. So they really did a good job of cleaning up the interface, making it super logical. And also, you know, the center button and these two buttons, just like on the Q3, are customizable. So you can press and hold, pick the function you want, and then a single press, like David said, to activate it. Yeah.
So that gives us a grand total of how many custom function buttons?
There are 1, 2, 3, 4 on the DLux-8, and I think this was 2 or 3 on here.
But on the top deck,
But you were very limited. This you could customize, but you were very limited at what you could change it to. So it's considerably easier to tune the DLux-8 to be the way you want than the DLux-7, for sure.
And then another pretty big spec bump here, which is very important for a compact camera. You know, we take for granted the EVF and have placed a lot of importance on a viewfinder, but a lot of people with it who want that compact camera experience also want to do it at arm's length. Especially if you're handing the camera off to somebody, it's more familiar, especially using phones, to just use the screen. And we see a pretty big jump here. Well, technically it's 48%, but let's just call it a 50% jump in resolution. So we've gone from a 1.2 million dot to a 1.8 million dot TFT LCD.
It's mad when I put it down the
and it really is. Oh yeah, you can see the menu difference. I mean, we didn't even get to that, right?
Well, no, I just wanted to see if I could try it. You're not gonna be able to tell the difference on the screen here. Sorry.
But it looks nice. It's really nice and crisp.
It's nice. Yeah.
Beautiful reflections of our overhead light.
I'm
There it is.
Yeah, I mean that's what happens when you hit the menu button. We'll get there, but like just to see the screen difference.
Let's see if
There we go.
I don't even know how to hit menu on here. Well, I mean, you're in the menu, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to get to a screen.
Yeah, I mean, you could just but we'll get to that. I don't want to tease too much. Okay.
So, all right, we can just kind of come back to the both of us.
Okay.
All right, perfect.
We made it.
We made it. Oh.
Now, a few other things I want to get into that were changed.
Yes.
A huge change was on all of the older models, the raw file format was always a proprietary RWL format.
Correct.
And we now have, for the first time ever on a Leica compact camera, native DNG shooting.
Again, like every other camera.
Exactly, which is hugely beneficial.
Major.
We also have UHS-2 memory card support for faster operation. And they're a little vague on the specifics, but there is a new processor because the autofocus, both single, continuous, and tracking, is noticeably faster. It's still contrast detection, the DFD,
right?
I think they call it.
Depth from defocus.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's not phase detection like we see now on the SL3 or the Q3, but it is noticeably faster and snappier. And walking around a city or just whatever, I had no trouble with day-to-day stuff with that.
And I mean, I was also playing with this, the manual focusing experience and the way that it auto magnifies and the clarity that you see, you know, the focus to out of focus to in focus experience when you're adjusting manual focus, I think is also dramatically improved.
Yeah.
You know, that it's not so jumpy from out of focus to in focus. It's much more smooth and linear. So they've really tweaked the experience as well.
Yeah.
In terms of what you're seeing through the viewfinder, both for composition, for focus, manual or autofocus. And there's also upgrades on the wireless side as well. So we do have wired, we said we moved from USB 2 to USB 3.1 Gen 2 over USB-C, but also this moved to Bluetooth 5.0 from 4.2. And also we have a full range of all the letters, 802.11,
In the Wi-Fi,
B, G, N,
C in there somewhere.
C,
Q,
B, C,
W.
Yeah. It's much, much faster, and it is now tuned for the latest Leica Photos app,
Right.
which Leica has been optimizing their wireless transfer speeds across the entire range. And this is no different because, especially in a camera like this that is geared towards everyday use or travel, it really lends itself to the experience of being paired with the Photos app on the phone. That's where Leica sees it.
Yeah.
And especially cool is also you can transfer DNG files natively through the Photos app, and you can edit them on the phone in Lightroom or Photoshop Mobile.
And it works extremely well. I was out and about. You'll see when I show some of my photos, I'm transferring images to my phone in real time with the Photos app, and it works beautifully. And the control you have, but I'm pretty sure, if my memory serves, you couldn't control the optical zoom of the DLux-7 through the Photos app, but you can control it on the DLux-8,
Right.
which is nice. So there's
It
just
is really nice.
expanded wireless control functionality on the DLux-8 that we didn't have on the 7.
Yeah. And the connection is
Way faster.
Yeah, way
I mean, which is what we've been seeing on all of the cameras over the
Correct.
last few years. Is Leica is really aggressively improving the speed, stability, and functionality of their wireless camera connections to
Yes.
the Photos app. And the Photos app is, of course, getting better all the time as well.
It is. It
Make
is.
sure if you get a DLux-8, that your Photos app is updated, because if it's not,
Right.
it won't have a DLux-8 in the option to pick your camera, which is what I discovered sitting on a
Yes.
park bench in Pittsburgh. Like, wait, oh, right, I have to update.
And a little PSA here, if you have other Leica cameras, after you update the Photos app, you may have to reconnect those other cameras.
Sometimes. It
Sometimes.
depends on how big the update is. But I always like to do that anyway, because I could just
keep it fresh. Keep it
exactly.
fresh.
You know, and then also just like do my firmware at the same time and all the
Right.
other things. So definitely significant integration improvements with the Photos app as well.
Mm-hmm.
And otherwise, changes wise, I think we covered. I'm just making sure I didn't miss anything.
Well, I know this is going to come up.
Oh,
This
okay.
has always been a question. How's the battery life, Josh? Because you used it.
You want the
for a
honest
whole weekend.
answer?
I do.
It's not great. It's not. I look, everyone always accuses us of being too positive. What I'll tell you is that I was able to get probably, I mean, did I shoot the whole concert with one battery? No, I had a spare with me. I probably got 250 shots maybe out of the battery.
Okay.
If not, that's probably one of the biggest weak spots.
Sure.
I mean, it's still fine if you're going out, and I had it on, basically I should say I had it on the entire time.
Now, sorry, they don't know that you did. So why don't you explain? You went to.
Oh, right. So I spent a couple of days right around the 4th of July in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, both to hang out in the city and go to a Red Hot Chili Peppers concert, my favorite band on the whole planet.
Josh loves the Red Hot
That's
Chili Peppers.
the only concert I ever go to. So anyway, and thank you to Nathan at Leica, who was able to get me a press sample, test unit DLux-8 that I got to take with
Because we
me.
didn't have this one yet.
We did not, no. And I took like 500 shots, both walking around Pittsburgh and some other stuff, which you'll see. But the concert, definitely I had a spare battery with me, and I did use it. But I also shot like 400 images at the concert,
Right.
which was, we were there from like 6 to 11. So
That's a lot of time.
Yeah, but it is probably one of the weaker spots. And all I'll mention that is because if you get a DLux-8, you should definitely have a spare. Over the years, we've said like things like the M11 and the Q3, maybe you don't need a spare.
These you do.
You just need one. They're not that big. I mean, they're little, tiny. You can see you got little things. So
Well, and you have to understand, it's not just running the electronics, but also, unlike the other cameras, you're also running a motorized zoom
Correct.
and motorized focus
Correct.
on every single shot.
Correct.
And a motorized aperture control.
yeah,
so it's all,
it's a small battery. It's a lower capacity. I think it's 1,000 milliamp hours or something like that.
yeah, 1025.
Yeah, so that's that is one area where you
But
need it. Yes.
this was another choice, right? So
right.
Leica could have brought out a new battery, which would have really annoyed all the previous generation owners.
Exactly.
So here there's always a calculation, right?
Right.
If you come out with a new battery type, great, you're going to get 40% more battery life, and it's going to be compatible with nothing that came before it.
Right. It's I could argue either way, but the reality is the battery life is fine for normal use, but I am recommending that you get a spare. If you had a DLux 109 or a DLux-7, you've already got at least one spare and probably more. So
Absolutely.
That's like David's saying, it's not that big a deal. So small camera, small battery, that's just how it goes. But I don't know. I had it in my little like coin pocket of my pants.
Yeah, these are so small, right?
totally fine.
Yes.
Um,
And it also still comes with the little flashy.
That's right. Let's talk a little bit about what you get in the box. I talk about what you don't get, because this is really our first intro to the camera.
I will steal that from you.
Thank you very much. So when you get a new DLux-7, can we go to the overhead, Mr. Revere? Thank you. You get, of course, the camera in the box. It comes with the Leica lens cap like so. You get a hot shoe cover. You get the battery, which I showed you looks like that. Some of them the newer ones look a little bit different, but it's the same model, the DC-15. You also get this absolutely adorable and mostly quasi-useless little wrist strap. Oh, funny.
That is funny. Okay. Hey, are we back? I think we're back.
I hope so.
I hope so. Let's see. All I see is a spinny over there.
I see the spinny.
We're going to wait for the not spinny.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to remember what we're talking about.
We're talking about the scope of delivery.
Scope of delivery.
Scoop, and I want to recommend a few super
But
cool.
I will wait until the people say they can see us. Good.
Good. Okay, that's one person. I need at least 5
Hooray.
people to say they see and hear us before
Okay, that's 2. That's 2.
Okay, give
we
me
go.
one more. Give me one more.
Here,
Yes. All right, I'll take it.
We're gonna do this though. 'cause
What are we doing?
That. Okay.
Hopefully, the intermissions, which is a feature that we totally did on purpose, are appreciated. It's like Broadway. You know, it's a fine performance. You need a break to go get a cocktail or, you know, whatever.
I think we're gonna need some cocktails after this one.
I am strongly considering a martini right now.
Wow. Wow.
Okay, anyway, let's just get right back to it. We are talking about the scope of delivery, so what comes with the DLux-8 when you purchase it. And I left off at this little guy, which is
To the overhead. Yeah.
if we can get the overhead back, let's see. All right, here we go. This is the Leica CFD flash. Because the DLux-8 does not have a built-in flash, Leica gives you this cute little flash that goes right on top. And it is powered by the camera, so it doesn't need to have its own batteries, and it has a little on-off switch like so. Works pretty well, not terribly powerful, but as a fill flash, very effective, you know, or super low light, doing people stuff, works great. Pretty basic, you know, there's no manual control, but compared to something like an SF40 or even an SF26, which are Leica flashes that are considerably larger, this is really very well suited to the size of the camera, and they give it to you. So they may not give you a USB-C cable, but they do give you a flash. So I call that a win in my book.
Well, and the fact is, they don't have a space for it because they have the EVF positioned right there. Normally, the flash would be where the EVF is.
Correct.
And historically, a lot of compact cameras didn't have an EVF because there was no space for it.
Right.
So Leica prioritized the EVF versus having a built-in flash. And the reality is, and Josh will actually show you amazingly, and that we have experience with, is the low light ability of this camera is actually
Pretty darn good.
is quite good.
Yeah.
I actually, you know, have historically, even with the DLux-7, have demonstrated it where we have a little hallway that goes in our store that goes around the back, and I just flip out the lights because there's a separate light switch for the overheads, and I just turn out all the lights in the hallway, and all we have is a small amount of light coming in on the entrance to the hallway. I have someone stand there and just demonstrate at 3200 ISO, wide open, and take a portrait, and it looks beautiful. It almost looks like it's you know, nice soft
Let
light.
me what? I just want to get off topic here.
Sorry, I'm just saying you don't need to do the
To answer 2 questions, Mark, the max flash sync speed is a 4,000th of a second because it is a leaf shutter, so it'll sync to the fastest mechanical shutter speed of the camera, which is a 4,000th.
Nice.
The flash only works on the DLux-8 or the DLux-7. It does not work on any other cameras because it is proprietary to these point-and-shoot cameras. It is powered by the camera, so it doesn't work on any other Leica camera. Here we go. Here we go. Oh no. Oh no. That is the funniest thing I've ever seen here. This is professional. Straight pro right here. Straight pro.
I think you know what
my
would be great? Showing up like professional photographer
With that?
shows up to a wedding with this little flash on the SL.
on their SL2S or their
Now,
SL3. Yeah.
But the funny thing is it won't work. So how many people would be like, hey, your flash isn't going off?
This is for show. This is for show.
And this is a great accessory.
Anyway, okay, so that's what you get in the box. You also get you don't get a full instruction manual, but you do get this handy little quick start guide. And of course, you can download the full instruction manual from Leica's website for free as a PDF. There are a couple of what I say, there's really one must-have accessory, and then there's a few recommended ones. Now, if we go back to the overhead, Jose, when you can.
I'll give you
Thank you.
off.
So the DLux-8 out of the box looks like this, and it has a standard removable lens cap. But the DLux-8, because it has a retractable or extendable lens, it's a little bit of an annoyance to have the lens cap on there because it's like, take it off, put it on, and where are you going to put it? So for the last few years, Leica has had a very useful accessory called the auto lens cap. They didn't invent this by any means, but they make it. And what that is you take off the finishing ring here, which is like a little kind of bayonet situation.
You have to push in, kind of like a child safe
And then you got the auto cap, which looks like that. And then that actually goes right over. And now, instead of a lens cap that you have to remove every single time, it just stays on the lens all the time, and it pushes through the little sort of pedals. Now, there is one downside to the automatic lens cap, which is if you are someone who likes to use filters, You cannot use the auto lens cap and filters at the same time. I'll show you why. It's just the way that it sits. So this is just an example. Here is let me turn this on so I can access the lens. It's just a 43 millimeter polarizing filter, but it doesn't matter what filter you have, it will not work. So the lens has a 43 millimeter filter thread, which is actually nice. Because in the old days, a lot of the point and shoots had either proprietary threads or no threads at all. But if we have a filter on there and we turn it off, you can already see the amount that it sticks out is basically going to prevent, I can't even get it on there.
But
so there are two options, right? If you want to use filtration. One is you use the standard Leica cap, which I really don't like. It doesn't fit inside filters that well. Or what I recommend is our favorite filter company, Breakthrough, makes a very effective and only, I think, like $7.
yeah, super cheap.
43 millimeter pinch style lens cap. And this is great to
That's
use
a much nicer fit.
on both the lens with filters or without. So I'll just kind of show you what that looks like. I'll put the finishing ring back on, take the filter off, put the finishing ring back on. Oops. So I think, considering the fact that it's only $7, it's kind of one of those things. If you're going to have a DLux-8, just get one of these because it is just easier to use than the stock cap. Yes, it doesn't say Leica on it, fine. But I would just take this one, put it in the box, and use my Breakthrough cap if I was using filters or if I didn't want the auto cap. But the auto cap to me is a must-have, and I had it with me during my entire trip to Pittsburgh.
It's so
and I loved
great.
it. A couple other accessories that are useful. One is the hand grip. Obviously, this is a small camera after all, so the hand grip is a nice feature if you have larger hands. Okay, here we go. Get on nice and tight. You can see it's got the thinnest to match. It's actually a pretty nice quality. There's no thumbs up or thumb support. I doubt Leica will make a thumbs up, or excuse me, a thumb support. I don't know if Match Technical is going to make a thumbs up. I haven't asked him about it.
Depends
I
how
guess it's
popular they are.
not because you'd have to find a way to get over these buttons. I don't know.
He's done it in the past. He has done it in the past.
It's possible. So that is one. And then if you don't like the hand grip, you can also go with a half case. Leica does have a line of half cases for these little guys. Just put it on here and show you what that looks like. Here we go. This is the black one. There's a few colors just so you can see. Looks nice. It does not have the battery access though, so that's kind of annoying.
downside, yeah.
Kind of annoying, but it does look nice and it does fit nice. Maybe we'll get Archidamato to make some of these. I have no idea. We'll have to see how popular this camera is over the next couple of years because these cameras tend to have a pretty long life cycle.
Yeah.
So, if we get this for a good 4 or 5 years, yeah, I could see an Archidamato half case being a thing.
For sure.
So extra battery, auto lens cap are the must-haves. Then I would say the hand grip is nice. And of course, the camera only comes with this little dinky hand strap. So aftermarket neck straps are a viable option. There are some Leica DLux-8 specific straps, but I like the straps like, for example, the ACAM 312 from Artisan and Artist or the Komodo straps from Archidamato, because you do want something that's relatively thin and low profile, because if you put a big bulky strap on the DLux-8, it kind of counteracts the fact that the camera is so small.
I think that Komodo strap's a good option.
Yeah, I don't think, just to answer the question, I don't believe any of the DLux-7 cases or grips will work because the body
It's different.
is different. You can see, just the shape is totally different. So anything that fits on the bottom is not, no, you can see that's not going to
they don't line up.
No, it's not going to work. So you do, the batteries work, the auto caps work, the flash is the same, but cases and hand grips are going to be different between the DLux-7 and the DLux-8. So that's something.
As are the charging cables and other things.
Correct. Yeah, different USB cable as well. Any other questions here real quick? That's pretty much all in terms of
Sure.
accessories. We should talk about a cool accessory that we have before I get into the photos. I think it's been a while since I've talked about this on the show. You can come back to us, Jose. One of the accessories that I use quite often for whether my product photography or doing any kind of low light stuff is this little guy. This is a Lumecube panel, and this is mine. I've had it for years. I have a few of these and just like slide it in. And they've had a bunch of different versions over the years. We recently discovered a bit of a treasure trove of this model, which I think is no longer in production. We found a whole bunch of them brand new in the box. And I was like, what am I going to do with these things? I was like, I know. I'll lower the price super cheap, and I'll talk about them on the show because, I mean, it's the same model that I use. And it's basically just a power and color temperature adjustable LED light panel.
And it has a CRI rating of over 96, which is
that good?
It's extremely good. I mean, our studio lights that cost thousands and thousands of dollars These have a CRI of
So this is
97.
a great companion to a camera like the DLux-7 or any camera, just to augment your light, whether you're doing stills or videos. And again, I use this all the time. I used it yesterday. I think I used it the other day to find something I lost behind my computer at work, because it makes a very effective flashlight. Just to show the back real quick, Jose, if you want to come to the overhead, because I do. I mean, again, this is mine. I use this all the time. It's got a little power switch. I'm not going to blind you guys, but
oh gosh, yeah.
you can change. Let's see if I can show this. You can change the intensity level, or you could change the color temperature as well. So it's quite a versatile tool. And I think just having one of these in the bag is really, really nice. It takes up very little space. And so I just took the ones we found, lowered the price to basically cost, and threw them up.
Take the diffuser
threw them up on the website. Oh yeah,
So it's a LED bank.
It's
Good. There you go.
That's what it looks like. It comes with a diffuser, and it comes with a hot shoe mount and a little USB cable. So
And
if they can drop a link in the
yeah.
chat.
And it's internal USB-C rechargeable.
Yeah, so if, right.
Just like the camera.
Yeah, just like the camera. So it has USB-C as well. So it's just one of those things that I found these. I was like, these are really good. Why was no one buying these? I think we just didn't have them listed or something. So I just put a blowout price on them. I was like,
cool. They're cool.
I gotta spread the love for the Lumecube, because I have 2 of these, and they have served me well for years. So super handy.
Very
Anyway,
handy.
now let's show some photos, I think.
Let's take a
We have
few
any
minutes.
questions? Well, have we done
let's see.
questions?
Yeah,
Right.
questions.
We should.
Tech
Questions, ridiculous.
and then computer.
All right, questions are good. That's
As long as our
your
computer
Jose.
makes it.
That's right.
All right, let's see. Can they hear me? Maybe, hopefully.
I can hear you.
Yes.
I can hear you. We're in the same room. That's probably why.
All right, let's see. So we have a few questions about low light capability compared to the Q system and the CL.
Yep.
Sure.
Sure.
So we can
But I'm going to
start
show
Yeah,
some
John's gonna
high
show-
testing. Although,
yeah.
what I will tell you is this overall, cameras like the Q, which are full frame, are going to be better in low light. But the reality is the DLux-7 is a lot closer than you might think.
DLux-8.
Wow. The DLux-8. That's bad. Okay. 6 years of saying the words DLux-7. Cut me some slack. I'm going to tattoo it on my head. The DLux-8 is better than you might think. I would say about a stop and a half difference worse than the Q, but still exceptional, especially considering how small the sensor is.
Yeah.
And the reality is, because Leica kept the resolution at 17 megapixels, it is extremely forgiving for high ISO. Because if you've watched the show before, you've learned, or you've heard us talk about the fact that the more pixels you cram onto a sensor,
Yep.
the more noise the sensor is going to have inherently. So because the DLux-8 is only 17 megapixels, when I show you some of this low light stuff, it's going to blow your mind.
It's pretty good.
But again, I'm not claiming that the DLux-8 is a replacement for a full frame camera or a system camera. It's not. It's a very different animal. But what it allows you to do is have a very flexible zoom range, a very usable maximum aperture, full manual control, both in terms of all your metrics and focus, in a much, much smaller and much less expensive form factor than a camera like the Q or the CL. If you can even find a CL in 2024, good luck, because they are getting snapped up. Like, we never see them anymore.
It's true.
But yeah, that's the answer to that question.
Good.
Jose, go ahead.
video capabilities in real world settings and stabilization for video.
I honestly haven't tried any video. I doubt you have either.
I haven't tried any video. But it's 4K video.
It's probably fine. I don't know if it's going to do anything that's going to be mind blowing, but I don't know. Jose, I'm gonna give Jose that responsibility. So the next show that we do, he'll talk about
Yeah, we'll have to test that.
video
yeah.
experience, because we just don't know yet.
All right. So we kind of touched on the processor compared to the DLux-7. There's a question saying, okay, it seems to me that the processor is equally important and not much discussed.
Well, Leica hasn't released the specifics. They just have basically said improved processing. So we don't know if that means a brand new chip or improved software or some combination. But I can tell you from practical use, the camera is snappier and the focus is faster. That
sure.
I can tell you.
Oh, yeah.
Compared to the DLux-7.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's noticeable.
Another question here. Please explain how to do microphotography with the DLux-8.
Well, the cool part about the DLux-8 and the DLux-7 and the one before is because it has the focus control switch right on the lens, you just click it into AF macro.
it's all the way
that's
there.
fine. I'm
Yeah.
just saying, and then you're good.
Yeah.
You focus under 3 centimeters at 24 millimeters.
Crazy.
Which, well, I'll actually show how close that is. Here we go. Put it in macro. Oops.
Focus on the over there. Can you?
Yeah.
Here.
We can focus on the keyboard.
Oh, the keyboard?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It'll focus really close.
Oh, wait a minute. I'm in spot.
Right,
So,
yeah.
I was messing with this earlier. I apologize. There we go. Put our focus point. Well, they can't actually see how close I am. So, I mean, I'm literally
That close.
Like
They can see the size of the keyboard.
It's focused. It's focused. So it's 3 centimeters. I don't know what else to tell you. Its focus is extremely, extremely, extremely close. So a very, very, very capable macro performance. And again, there's a little switch on the side to switch to macro. So very, very easy to get. You don't have to go to the menu to do that. You just flip
Yeah, the
switch
one
on
with the flower. The one
with the flower,
the
yes, with the
AF
flower,
flower.
the traditional
Right.
macro symbol. Other questions?
In fact, it's only usable for flowers.
Up to 30 centimeters. So.
No. That's why.
Oh, right. That's right. I understand. Yeah.
I was making a joke. I was making
a bad joke. but
Sorry,
okay.
you're like.
Right
Okay.
over my head.
All right. How fast does the DLux-8 boot up? When in standby, does it retain its focal length I had it on?
Well, so when it goes to standby, it actually retracts the lens back in.
But it doesn't. No, I don't believe it retains the focal length. That's actually another sticking point that I bet they're going to change because it tends to forget. Like when you turn it off, it just reverts back to 24.
Exactly.
But
That might be firmware.
I'm willing to let Leica take the time they need to figure that out because I'm imagining that re-engineering this entire new menu system meant they had to throw some stuff out to make it work. So I can accept that. But in terms of startup, I mean, let's see.
Let's do it.
Here we go. So the camera's off. You can see the lens is retracted. Turn it on. I'm gonna hold the shutter down.
There it is.
1 second.
Took a shot.
Yeah. Oh, you heard it. Yeah.
Yeah.
They
can't hear
It's
it,
very fast. No, they can't hear, but it's very, very fast. It's not SL3 fast, but for a little
pretty
point
quick.
and shoot, it's pretty darn quick.
I think the longest part of it isn't the boot up time
the
of
lens
the screen,
coming out,
but the
yeah.
lens
Yeah.
motor has to actually fully extend the lens, then acquire focus, then shoot. So that process is the longest
Yeah.
in that
And that's just,
in there. That's physics.
it's a point and shoot camera. I mean, there's going to be some limitations to keep it small, and that's one of them.
Yeah.
And that's okay because it does a lot of other stuff really well.
But it's nice that the lens retracts because it makes
It's
it
a small.
nice.
Yeah. What else we got?
All right. Is it weather protected?
No.
No.
Although I was shooting in the light rain, and I was a little bit worried, but it was fine.
Yeah, but it was like a marketing sample. So
Exactly. That's right. Who cares? Whatever. I dunked it in the lake. It's totally fine.
All right. Guess we kind of touch on this as well. Does the DLux-8 deliver a superior image quality versus the 7?
I haven't tested them side by side, but it's the same sensor and the same lens, so I suspect it's going to be the same. Although,
it could have enhanced processing.
because it's DNG,
It is, yeah.
maybe. But I don't want to just say that flippantly. I don't
Yeah.
know for sure. It is exceptional, and I also never had a problem with the DLux-7.
Sure.
We have those 20 by 30s in the store
I know.
that people think they're from an M. So
They're not though.
Josh, is the DLux-8 a good add-on to the Q3?
Oh, for sure. I mean, the DLux-8, what it brings to the table is really two things, in my opinion. One is 2.5. One is size. Because look, the Q3 is pretty small. The Q cameras are pretty small.
Yeah, but that's
but
not
they're
even, look at this overhead.
It's a huge size difference. I mean, this is a Q2 monochrome, but still the same concept.
That's
I mean-
not right. The Q is small.
The DLux is really, 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 really small and really, really light. It's so easy to throw in a large pocket, a pocketbook, or a handbag, or just to have around you without thinking about it. Like the difference. I mean, the Q is
Driving me crazy with you.
like this. The Q is okay. To come back to us, the Q is a small camera, but the DLux-8 is so incredibly
Yeah.
small. So anytime you're going out where you want to have just the most discreet, smallest possible camera that doesn't get in the way.
Exactly.
But of course, the other advantage is it has an optical zoom. You can crop with the Q3, but it's not the same. So if you want the advantage of an optical zoom, the DLux-8 is fantastic for that. And you'll see by the photos I show how useful that was for me. So to me, that and also a price point. A Q3 is $6,000, DLux-8 $1,600 in the
Yeah,
US.
big difference.
So if you're going somewhere where it could get damaged or lost or even stolen or whatever, it's a lot less painful to happen to a $1,600 camera than a $6,000
Yeah,
camera. Yeah. You gonna say something?
I just want you to click that button.
What am I clicking? That one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
I clicked the button. I contributed. Anyway,
You're
so
doing
yeah,
great.
I think the DLux-8 has a place in the lineup that hasn't. It's filling a gap that hasn't been filled in a very long time,
Mm-hmm.
and I was excited about it, but I didn't really feel that it fit until I used it pretty intensively for a few days, and I walked around Pittsburgh for hours and hours and hours. Took it to the concert, took it to every restaurant, everywhere. I had it with me 24/7, and it was awesome just to have around and to have the zoom flexibility and to have it do the things I would normally do with my phone. I think that's really the difference is
Yeah.
the DLux-8, I was always using that instead of using my phone, whereas the Q3, even though it's a similar focal length to the iPhone, it's still a little bit bulkier to the point where I don't always want to have to deal with that in lieu of using my phone. So
And for instance, like you took it to a crowded concert
yeah,
And the Q, even though the lens doesn't come off, starts to raise some flags with concert security.
Yeah.
The reality is, you come in with this.
Yeah.
They're not
The
making.
dinky little thing
They're like,
doesn't look anything.
did anyone hassle you about it?
No.
Right. And that's the key. And you got like professional looking.
Yeah,
photos.
you'll see. I mean, I'm not a concert photographer. I've only been to like 4 concerts in my entire life, but I tried my best, and I had a good time doing it. Well, any more questions before we show some photos?
Not at the moment. Oh, we got a couple that came in. Let me see.
There's a Lumecube light on the hot shoe. Yes, I do. I have it comes with a small hot shoe adapter, and I have a larger one as well that I bought somewhere.
That angles, right?
And I just mount it when I'm doing product photos on my desk. I mount it onto my SL2 or SL3, and it just serves as like a really, really nice light for product photography that's continuously on. Close focus works really well because it's kind of high enough to go over. So yes, I do mount it on the hot shoe.
Silver version of the DLux-8. Okay.
Who knows?
Who knows? I didn't know the DLux-8 was coming until like 2 months ago. So
Yeah, we were
Let's see.
if you watch the early part of this, we made it this far. Yeah, both of us were actually pretty surprised that Leica went forward with the DLux-8. We were not anticipating this camera.
yeah, why are the lugs angled? Well, the lugs are angled on the DLux
For center of gravity.
7. Yeah, and the DLux-8 is the same. It just keeps the camera from tipping.
Right. So they have to angle them so that when the strap sits on there, the camera sits neutral because of the weight distribution.
Yeah, it looks cool too.
And it looks, that's why. And it's,
We should also talk about if you are going to get your DLux-8 or other cameras, where you could use them coming up.
Oh,
Some
yes.
cool locations.
Yes,
that
yes,
we
yes,
have.
yes. Yeah, we should just quickly say that. So, as you may or may not know, if you're regular viewers, a large part of what I do in this ecosystem is lead a lot of photo workshops around the world. And historically, our fall workshops are some of our most popular ones. And they are so great destinations. I am leaving actually in a little more than a week to go out to Moab, Utah for an astrophotography trip. That is sold out. That sells out pretty frequently when we do, because we only do it once a year, because that's where the stars literally the stars align with the landscape that we're shooting. So if you are interested in that or others, you can just email us and let us know that you're interested. But we do have a couple spots left on some of our upcoming fall workshops. So we have, and I think Josh can throw the screen up. Jose can put it up.
There we are.
So it looks like we've got a couple spots left for a new Spin. What does it say?
Ooh, I don't know. We're waiting.
on.
Are we on?
Oh, yeah, DLux-9.
So I should stop saying bad things about like, oh wait, no. God, these awful Leica cameras.
Yeah, so when the monochrome version comes out.
I mean tomorrow.
Right.
The DLux-9 monochrome.
Oh, wait, is it back up? Oh, here you are. No, we're just kidding.
We are the dorkiest people ever. That's all I'm going to say.
Oh my gosh. Okay. We're going to get through this together. We apologize.
What a
This is
mess.
insane. Our hardware is eating itself, apparently. So, and I swear we do not have CrowdStrike. So I do not know why this is happening, but it is happening about every 20 minutes. So,
All right, so we're going to talk about the workshops and then we're going to show some pictures, I promise.
there we go.
And hopefully before it crashes again. So let's go fast.
Let's go. Okay. As I was saying, we have 2 spots left for the San Miguel, Mexico Street Photography Workshop, and that is going to be hosted by our own Kirsten Vignes, as well as Juan Reyes, who is the founder of the Miami Street Photography Festival, which Leica Store Miami has been a charter sponsor since the inception of that festival. So should be a really cool workshop. It's an amazing location and really not that hard to get to, but definitely a world different. So we've got some spots left for that, and that is actually in about a month. And then we also, looks like we have a spot left, which I did not realize, for our monochrome workshop with Richard Sexton in October in New Orleans, which I'm kind of surprised because those workshops typically are always fill up. And then we have 1 spot left for the Dolomites in the Italian Alps, which I will be co-leading with my colleague Peter Dooling, who runs our workshop program, and we are working with a great photographer who is familiar with the area. So it's going to be amazing and super premium hotels in these little cute Italian Alpy chalet towns with spas and all that, and amazing photography. So last chance. These are limited size trips, so that's limited to 8 people. And if you want to join in on that photo adventure, which with me and Peter, I highly recommend signing up for that. That is at the end of September through the beginning of October, and we'll start and end in Venice, Italy. So,
Okay.
let us go into some...
Yes, because the whole point of the DLux-8 is it's a camera to take pictures with, which I did when I was in Pittsburgh in early July. And
Yes.
we've been talking about it, so now I'm actually going to show you. So the experience that I had with the DLux-7, I keep saying 7, the DLux-8 was
Yes.
fantastic.
Hold on.
DLux-8, 8. Okay, Jose, you want to go to the computer screen, please? Let's see if we can.
Was that on the DLux-7 or?
Yeah, DLux-7, yeah, the great power. Can I make that full screen? Does
F. Although, yeah.
that work?
Yeah, F.
That's good enough.
That's L.
No, I hit F. It does that. Oh, there we go. Sorry, no, computer illiterate. So, I spent 3 or 4 days in Pittsburgh with the DLux-8, and the first thing that my friend and I did when we were there was go to the Phipps Conservatory, I think that's what it's called, which is this amazing nature. There's plants there. I don't know. And kind of the goal for me was to understand what the DLux-8's capabilities were in terms of low light, high dynamic range, close-up focus, strong color, strong light, et cetera, et cetera. So I spent a little bit of time just wandering around, taking some photos, and it was a really, really cool place. If you are anywhere near Pittsburgh or ever going there, it is definitely worth a visit because it's huge.
You should just zoom in on those walruses.
The walrus.
The walrus, yeah. Walrus
it's
is
not-
this.
Yeah,
I think you have to go back to zoom in more because it's a big screen. So just exit out of full. Yeah, click. Oh, and you got to go to
Wait.
the
No, wait.
over there. Yeah, we go to 200%. Yeah, there you go. There you go.
Yeah,
You got
it's
it.
a valiant struggle. Anyway, these are my friends. This is
walruses.
Petey and this is Chadwick. No, this was a really, really great test of the DLux-8. And then, obviously I'm in a conservatory with nature and botanical gardens, so I had to do some flower shots while I was there. And, I was very impressed with the detail and the ability. If you actually look at, not this one, we'll get there. I'll show you some of my befores, before and afters. Just beautiful everything. I don't know. It's overwhelming to be in this like room with this magical stuff. But I was really, really impressed. This is actually using the 16:9 aspect ratio, which I used a lot. It felt like widescreen TV. Well, it is widescreen TV. Like, I don't know. It was super cool. I did that quite a bit. This is an example of something that I thought was really cool, just to show highlight or shadow recoverability on the DLux-8. So the original looks like that. And then they basically took to that. So
Wow.
You could never do this on a phone. You would need a fill flash at the very least. But I was very, very impressed by the malleability of these files.
Side by side there.
Well, there we go. Yeah.
And
Yeah, this is right into the sky, obviously. They're pretty high up. Okay.
it's pretty cool. And zoom in on that just to see.
wait.
Just curious.
Yeah, I mean, you got a little bit of grain, but
Look at all the detail in
a lot of detail. This is 200% also. So
Right.
There we go. That's 100%. Okay. This is another one of my friends, Mr. Fish. This is more like just to get a feel for the bokeh and kind of what the autofocus areas look like. Again, another thing you could never do with a small sensor like you have on a phone. Still exceptional detail, super crisp. Really nice fall off here. And then I did some flowers. I'm not really like a nature photographer, but I just had some fun. They had like a whole room full of orchids, which was really cool. So I popped it into macro mode. I'm just playing around with some of the, again, just look at how pleasing this fall off is here. This is very, very nice. Again, retaining the color. Now, this is a hard color to render, especially with such strong light, but the detail is really, look at the detail there. It's really holding up very, very well. I like this shot a lot as well. This is like a backlit, so very strong lighting. Look at the detail there. Again, 17 megapixels. I'm fine with that. Another orchid. And then I went to a random dive bar. There was a band. So just testing out the low light. I think this was, how do I get to the...
The Red Hot Chili Peppers concert?
Well, no. The Chili Peppers are look a lot different here.
Wow.
This random dive
They
bar.
really let themselves go.
So this is ISO 1600. Fine. Like I tried to do phone pictures first, and it wouldn't even focus. Like forget it. This is just kind of like taking a walk around. Taking a walk around Pittsburgh, just playing around. And again, highlight and shadow recoverability are awesome. This was pretty nice out of the camera, if my memory serves.
You just said why?
Why?
Yeah.
No, I see.
Before and after. Yeah, it's close.
Yeah.
So the out of camera results is pretty good.
Yeah.
But you brought back some of the sky, I see.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. We were just doing some more cityscape stuff. It's a beautiful city, and the weather was amazing. So from Miami, where it was 90 degrees, to Pittsburgh, where it was like 70, it was very welcome. Spent some time on like a little waterfront area. I'm sure there's a name for this body of water, which I don't
It's
know.
one of 3 rivers, Josh.
Well, yeah, clearly the river rescue's there. But just testing the detail in a dynamic range and just, having a good time being outside.
I think it's the Allegheny.
Is it? I don't even know. Just exploring, wandering around. And again, I was extremely impressed. It's a great example of sort of this deep shadow here to as bright as it's going to get into the sky. So playing around with that. And then the next day was the concert. So this is really where the camera was going to sort of make or break.
Sure.
And we had amazing seats. We were 2 rows back from the pit, and it was a small pit. So we were very lucky. I wasn't sure when I started what was going to happen in terms of how the camera would do, but I was blown away. Again, I'm not a concert photographer. This is actually the first time I ever brought a camera to a concert in my entire life. If you want to see an amazing concert photographer, look at David Bergman. It's awesome. But shooting in super low light. This is another
amazing. Yeah.
One of my favorite shots. So the concert was in this beautiful outdoor venue, Burgettstown, Pennsylvania. The Pavilion at Star Lake. That's what it was called. And we were under this sort of roof thing, and then just this amazing sunset with the blue light from the sort of band's set casting. I love the orange hat.
Yeah,
it's my favorite part.
Pops. It pops.
I just and again, this is also using that 16:9 ratio. Just playing around, just trying to see what I could do, just pushing the camera to its limits. This is, can I get the info view here? I cannot. No.
But you can click. Yeah, there you go.
This is ISO 2000. I mean,
Wow. And look at the shutter speed you're getting.
At a 500th of a second. Yeah, because one of the things I was basically teaching myself how to do concert photography while I was there.
Yeah.
And I realized like they're moving fast, and I kept upping my ISO just to make sure that I was able to get freeze the hands.
That's super clean.
Wait till I show you the iPhone photos. They're so bad compared to this. Let's see here, just to keep that. So this is another one using, and this one I played with the AI noise reduction in Lightroom just to see what it could do. Let me go to 200% here. I mean, this is ISO 8000
on a
point and shoot
camera. Yeah.
I mean,
it's pretty crazy.
Wow. Wow. I was,
it's not bad. That is not bad.
I love the shot too, like with the red, and I thought it was awesome.
That is red hot chili peppers.
And then that's very well done. Yes. This is ISO 5000 without the AI noise reduction. So what's cool too is it's retaining all of the sort of very, very highly saturated, very bright color. And when you see the phone shots, that's what I'm talking about. And I think that one more, just another view. Again, our seats were so good. This was zoomed all the way out to the 75 millimeter equivalent, but
zoomed all the way in.
Zoomed all the way in. Yeah, sorry.
Yes.
But we were really close. This is ISO 3200 without AI noise reduction. I mean, this looks so clean, and it's retaining the highlights really, really well. It's managing this beautifully.
And getting a natural skin tone, even though you have all this crazy color. Too.
And there's the original. All I really did was crop it a little bit and tweak it very slightly. There wasn't a lot of editing that I had to do.
Wow.
And if you want a reference point, if we go here, we can look at, so these are just, I didn't think about it at the time.
Yeah.
But I was like, oh, I'll just taking some phone pics to text people and stuff. First of all, I don't know how much you can tell on YouTube, but there's no depth of field. It's all just in focus because you have that tiny sensor and you have no aperture control. And I can see the pixels. I can eat the pic. I mean, they're huge. Now, again, I don't want to discredit how good iPhones have become.
Oof.
But if you say to me, Josh, why do I need a DLux-8 when I have an iPhone 15 Pro Max Plus SE? This is why. Because here's an environment where you have extremely challenging lighting conditions. You need to use the longer end of the zoom to get to the stage, and the light's changing and it's dark. And I mean, look, if I was looking at these just on my phone, I'd be like,
Oh yeah, but look at the blur.
oh my gosh, like what is happening right now? This is just atrocious.
And look at the highlights.
I don't want to make this an iPhone bashing session,
but I think it's worthwhile. So zoom in on the drummer.
Good old Chad Smith right here.
Now look at that.
It's gone. Yeah.
But there's no detail.
Yeah,
in those highlights.
I mean, so essentially,
and they look desaturated.
what this allows me to do is bring a very small, very wieldable camera into an environment with very challenging lighting conditions and actually make photos that are usable for more than just having on my little tiny phone screen.
Yeah, actually.
I could print these. I could blow these up on a TV. I could do whatever I want. And of course, I could edit them. Because that's the real beauty of being able to shoot with a real camera is I can take these files into Lightroom and I can mess around with them. I can make them look just the way that I want. I mean, I was able to sort of save the sky here. You can
Look
see
at that recovery, yeah.
That's the original.
Wow.
So, what is it? Why? I never actually used this view. Oh, that's cool. So you can see how much recoverability there is. There we go. In the dynamic range here. Again, point and shoot camera. You could never do this with your phone. So it was very satisfying to put the DLux-8 through its paces, having not used it really at all. And thank you again, Nathan, for helping us out to make that happen. So this is my initial experience with the DLux-8, both doing sort of the classic, macro photography with
Wow, a lot of detail. Yeah.
tons of detail. And again, this is very hard to hold a highlight. I'm not saying if I had an SL2, or an SL3, it would be worse than this.
Right.
The whole point is this is a little tiny camera.
It is.
That I can put into my pocket. And the other thing that
Nice bokeh balls over there.
Yeah, right. Yeah, very, very pleasing. The other thing that I noticed too is I did try to do some iPhone testing, but good luck getting manual control over an iPhone.
Right.
Because you can't have manual ISO or shutter speed control at full resolution. It goes down to 12 megs. And there is no aperture, so you can't control that. So if you are either a photography enthusiast or a budding photography enthusiast, and you say to yourself, well, I really want something that I can start with that's both a serious usable tool and one that gives me control. Yes, the iPhone or any smartphone may be fantastic at doing what it does, but you have essentially no control.
Yeah, exactly.
Should we do some ISO testing shots too?
Yeah, let's just flip back over. Jose, do we have any comments
let's do some
about
questions
the
and
photos?
stuff first. Yeah.
Let's see.
I mean, I think that's great shots just for a couple days, and the fact that it is striking because you had showed me those photos without showing me the iPhone photos, and I know I asked you, and you're like, oh, you'll see, see, and it's amazing because it's not like you could just edit those and pull the highlights, but the highlights are gone,
Right.
And the pixels are the size of like big blocky chunks, right? It really is dramatically different. And to me, the lack of color saturation on the iPhone photos versus just the really natural.
And it's funny, if you're just looking at them on your phone, you don't think about it, and then you just look at camera images taken, even point and shoot camera images taken in the same environment.
Yeah.
Like, oh, right, that's why I need a real camera.
Exactly.
I totally forgot about that.
Pretty amazing.
I do also want to address a question that we knew we would get, which is, where are they?
Yeah.
And I get it. Just like every other major Leica release, they are not in stock anywhere and hard to come by.
Yeah.
That will, of course, change. But the reality is there are very few cameras like this in the market. There's been a 6-year sort of pent-up demand from the launch of the DLux-7 to now the DLux-8, and is objectively great. So I don't know how long the wait list is going to be. I hope that we get these in big, giant chunks. I doubt it. But yeah, they have started shipping, but the amount that we've seen
is so
is
little.
Very, very, very limited to the amount that we need. And I'm sure the other Leica stores and dealers are feeling the same. So
I'm sure it will open up and
hang in there. It will be worth the wait. Again, I hope this is a much shorter wait time than like we've seen for the big like Q3, SL3 types of things, which are still hard to get.
Yeah.
But yes, have they started shipping? Yes. Are they readily available? Not even close. So hang in there. We do have this one on display at Leica Store Miami. If you want to come and see it, you want to throw your memory card in there, you can do that.
Yep.
But We just have to ask for your patience, I suppose.
And if you want to mention, Josh, the way we're doing Leica Store Miami, the pre-order is a little bit different. Than
Yeah, so
previous cameras.
Yeah.
We're trying to find good ways to manage this. And the way it works with the DLux-8 with us is you sign up to get notified. And then when we get a batch, we'll send out an email to a bunch of people and say, hey, if you want one, you can order it.
Right.
The idea, I think, is that if supply is good enough, it should work.
Yeah.
But we definitely didn't expect it to be this hard to get right away.
Nope.
And so,
So one, we didn't expect the camera at all.
oh, right.
And then when we did expect it, we didn't get any.
Right. So we may change things up. I don't know. But I mean, for now, I know it's annoying. It's annoying for us too.
Oh, gosh, yeah.
Our literal livelihood is based around selling Leica cameras and lenses. So when we can't get it, it's no fun. So
No.
hopefully by the time you get yours, you can go back and watch this show, skip through all the freezing parts, and learn something about the camera. And we'll probably do a menu episode in a few months.
Right,
When there's more market penetration for these
Yeah.
things.
And I am curious to see if Leica does issue firmware updates like they do with the other cameras in terms of bringing on some new features or refinements or taking the user feedback
Yeah.
and making it even more.
Yeah, I would imagine so. I mean, I hope so. I mean, again, we're just getting started. So
Sure.
I'm definitely excited to see where things go with the DLux-8. And, we're just in the very, very beginning.
We are.
But so far, so good. I mean, like I said, I was genuinely impressed. And your reaction was great. When you saw the
Amazed.
concept
I'm
photos,
amazed.
you're like, wow, that's a point-and-shoot camera. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Any other questions today?
No, not at the moment.
Do they want to see the walrus photos again? No?
I don't think they want to do the walrus. They're like chia walruses or something.
I don't know. I mean, you get those Pittsburghians. They have
Yeah.
their weird things. Let's show some ISO images.
Yeah. Go for the
Yeah.
ISO images.
Okay.
While the stream's working.
That's right.
I don't
So-
want to jinx it, but
I did do my classic
Hey, there
camera
it is.
wall of camera bags testing, just to give myself some sense of the camera's ISO performance. Right. I just want to know. I didn't go and compare it 10 different things. So there's really nothing else like it in the portfolio. Everything is up market. But if we start at base ISO, you can see.
you want to zoom in further?
Yes, I was just going to do that.
There you go.
I'd like to do
150?
150 because 200% is not really. You can't do 150. We'll stick at 100 because this is really reflective of what it's.
I mean,
What
it is, but
This 1-to-1.
Yeah.
Now, again, 17 megapixels. You're not making billboards out of this thing, but detail is excellent. I mean,
The barcode.
yeah, corner sharpness is very good. I have like, detail here is very good. Again, this is a scene that I shoot all the time, so I'm pretty familiar with how it's supposed to look. And honestly, just very good. Again, we're not talking 60 megs, okay? You're not going to crop the heck out of this like you can with an SL3.
It's crisp,
but
though. It's crisp.
Out of camera, full uncropped full image detail is very, very good. And let's just bounce up a couple of stops here let's look at 400. So this is ISO 400. Still very clean, very good detail. I'm still seeing all the detail in the camera bags and like the fibers.
And that barcode. I keep looking at that barcode.
The
in the upper
barcode here,
left.
yeah, barcode's here. I mean, it's basically the same as 200.
Yep.
Let's go up 2 more stops. Now let's look at 1600.
So the color is shifting a little
A
bit.
little bit, but I also didn't do
didn't wipe
super
out?
heavy-handed editing because I didn't want to necessarily like go crazy, and I didn't have that much time.
Yeah. No, but look at the barcode in the
Still
picture.
very, very good detail for ISO 1600 for 8.2 camera.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
You're still seeing the texture in the bags. You're still seeing the highlights. Yeah. Let's go 2 more. Let's really push it. Let's go 6400. Let's see what we can do. And you know what? It's not bad.
That is not bad.
Yes, there's grain for sure.
And
but
what
there's
kind of noise reduction did you do here?
not a ton. There's still detail.
D.
Develop. Yeah, I get that.
Yeah.
Let's see. So only 20 luminance.
That's not a lot.
Not a lot. I didn't do fancy pants AI noise reduction. We could go higher on this if we want.
There you go. I mean, that looks. Yeah, but like
Again,
no
this is
work at all. That looks
ISO
great.
6400
on a compact
on
camera.
a compact camera. I want to make that perfectly clear, which in my mind is extremely usable. No, it's not as good as a Q3 because it's not a Q3. But for a camera that can fit in a admittedly somewhat large pocket, but is easy to carry around at $1,600, this performance is exemplary. And I would say, especially if you're doing a little bit of noise reduction, I mean, look at that. That looks fine. 6400 ISO. No, above 6400, okay, things start to fall apart a little bit. I would not go above 64. This is 12,500.
Raise luminance to 40 again.
It's not as bad as I thought.
Oh,
not bad.
It cleans up pretty well.
Not bad. It's pushing it. I think 6400, depending on what you're doing, but that is one of the advantages of a lower resolution sensor, is it's much more forgiving of shooting at high ISO, especially if you're shooting raw and you're comfortable in Lightroom with a little bit of noise reduction. And I'm sure with AI noise reduction, blah, 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 that we have now, that it's even better. So I guess to sum it up, what I would say is don't look at this camera and say, oh, it's a point and shoot, it's going to be terrible in low light, and just dismiss it, because it is actually surprisingly capable up to and even slightly above ISO 6400.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Nice.
Yeah, okay, you can go back to us.
All right.
Okay.
Listen, that's really impressive results. I don't know what the viewers think.
Yeah, I mean, not too much comments yet, but I mean, I think we've covered pretty good amount of ground.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's anything else that we need to mention. I don't mind ending it a bit early, especially to avoid another
I see a couple questions about how does it compare to the CL, and we haven't done head to head, but I have had the CL for a long time. And I'd say the CL maxes out comfortably like 3200 to 6400.
Yeah.
But keep in mind, this is an APS-C sensor, not a Micro Four Thirds sensor.
Yeah.
So it's very similar performance, I'd say, between the DLux-8 and the CL if you level out based on resolution.
Yeah, the thing is, the reason I didn't think about the CL too much is because they're not around anymore.
Right.
But if you have a CL, the reason to get the DLux-8 is because it is smaller, it has the zoom, and it's a much more modern interface and much more in line with Leica's current portfolio. But the CL continues to punch above its weight even all these years later. But of course, if you want to get a zoom, you have to go 18 to 56.
Right.
It's a 3.5 to 5.6. DLux-8, you have 24 to 75, 1.7 to 2.8. So it's still far better at obtaining that fast maximum aperture.
Yeah.
Better than my old M8. Oh, M8 is pretty good, okay? But yeah, Leica's come a long way in the last 20 years.
Yes, they have.
I'll tell you that. OMG, Chia Walrus, right? Put that on a t-shirt. OMG, Chia Walrus? No. There's more questions about availability. I know. I'm sorry.
I know. We can't help. But like overall, I mean, this is...
Yeah.
I would say this. If you have the opportunity to get your hands on the DLux-8, that's probably the most telling thing, because when you pick it up, you're like, oh, wow, that's really solid.
Yeah.
It's funny because I had to do a double check, and Josh too, with the weight, because I'm like, this feels a lot
it feels
more.
heavier,
Like, this feels like much more solid
Yeah.
and well built than even the DLux-7. And even if I'm picking up now, I'm like, oh, this feels like more solid, and yet they're almost the exact same weight.
Yeah, the DLux-8 is spec'd 4 or 5 grams lighter than the DLux-7.
Doesn't make
which
sense.
is basically the same.
It's impossible.
It definitely feels a lot more premium.
Maybe
in
there's
the
no
hand.
battery in this one.
There is.
I don't understand. Look, you do it. You do it.
I know. I've done this 1,000 times. I'm telling you. I know.
No.
Yeah.
No,
It's the same.
it feels...
It's the same.
Yeah, okay. It feels great.
Anyway, it does have a very premium feel, and it does feel like a baby Q3, in my opinion.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, I know they're hard to get for now, but I promise you they will not be hard to get forever. And, of course, in the meantime, you got to snatch up all the accessories. So you got to get your auto cap, you got to get your hand grip, you got to get your extra battery, you got to get your... What else? Half case, maybe?
Better strap.
Different strap.
Yeah.
Maybe go out and get a nice USB-C cable if you don't have one already, but you probably do.
Anchor makes nice charge cables.
Yeah, there we go. So yeah, you got you got to build up that side of the portfolio.
I think
first.
people already have the cables. You probably
Yes,
have a million
yeah,
of
everybody
these,
has USB-C.
like I do.
Okay,
Yeah.
fine. But yeah, I think eventually cameras will be more freely available, and then it won't be so frustrating. But in the meantime,
I did want to add on to something you said about what experience was as a travel camera.
Sure.
So because of the speedy interface and because the files are slightly smaller, the responsiveness and the ease of which taking a photo or an afternoon of photos or some concert photos, transferring it to your phone through the Photos app, you can quickly edit and share. Obviously, the files didn't need that much work, which was nice. And you could basically transfer the raw files and share to Instagram or wherever right from your phone. The other thing that we haven't mentioned in a while is, and that I think is really cool for travel, is using the support. Because if you don't know this yet, this is kind of a cool little hidden cheat code thing. You can use the support as a wireless printer
That's right, yeah.
for anything in photos. So you could take a picture with a DLux-8, throw it into Photos, and then just hit print to the Sofort, and you can pop out a print and give it to somebody, which is amazing. We actually, one of the attendees in our Japan workshop did that with the Q3 actually, and was able and took pictures of this monk at a monastery, picked out his 2 favorite pictures, put them in the phone, and then just printed them and gave them to.
I was in Key West in early May, and I had with me the Sofort and the SL3, and my buddy had his Q2 monochrome, and we literally were printing images from the Sofort, printing images from the SL3, for the Q2 monochrome, and then iPhone shots also, because we just were putting them all into the Sofort album in the Photos app, and so we were just spitting out prints left and right, and like giving it away.
It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun.
We were literally on an island with no electricity, but I had the Sofort, and I was taking pictures of people.
Which, by the way, is also USB-C chargeable.
Exactly, giving people little Sofort prints. Like it was very, very cool.
That is neat. That is neat.
So yes, I would say if you are on the wait list for the DLux-8, hang in there. It'll be worth the wait because it is awesome.
Yeah.
I think we pretty much. I guess the last thing I should mention, which has nothing to do with what we're talking about, but I have to find. I didn't have the link ready. Go to the sad news. Who are so if you follow Leica on Instagram, you know this. But we did. There's one less person, if you will, in the studio today, which was, if you've watched the show for years, my dog Enzo. He passed away in July, which is why we didn't do a show in July. I just want to thank everybody who commented or messaged me. Obviously, it's been very difficult, but I'm very grateful for all the love that he got. And the reason I mention it is because I can't actually find it. There is a link to an awesome charitable organization that donates to different animal cancer centers so that people who can't afford to give their pets that kind of care can do it through this charity. And I'm trying to get the link to it, but of course I can't actually see our Instagram. Whose number ends in... Whose number is this?
I think it's Kirsten.
Is it Kirsten? Oh my goodness. Well, if you go on our Instagram and you find the photo of Enzo, I won't get it because I wanna.
Can you send a link to the post?
Let's see. I don't know.
Yeah.
Let's see. Here we go.
And if you don't know, I mean, Enzo has basically been working at Leica Store Miami for as long as Josh has.
That's right. He's been.
Almost,
if you've come in the store, you've seen him. He was there every day with me for the 11 years that he was around, which was awesome.
He was our our mascot, our snuggle buddy, our studio dog. Like this is Enzo was a big part of our family.
Jose, if I text you the link, can you put it in the chat?
Sure.
I mean, do you have the ability to? It's kind of long.
Oh, okay. I see.
I'm gonna get. It's worth it. So bear with me here. I can't spell veterinary. It's a long word. Veterinary. I know it's kind of like sad, but we can make it happy because I want to be able to,
Is that it?
I think I got to find the right. Here we go. I'm gonna get there.
There you go. Okay.
I'm gonna get it. Bingo. Okay. We got to make sure. But see, the problem is I can't. Okay, so I'll put it here in the chat. You can just make sure that when you go to this link, you choose the Animal Cancer Care Clinic in Fort Lauderdale as like your. Actually, just go to the screen real quick. I just want to.
Can you copy and paste that?
Well, it's weird because the link I have takes me directly.
Right.
Whatever. I don't want to waste a bunch of time on this, but I just wanted to here we go. So make sure that you are selecting Animal Cancer Care Clinic in Fort Lauderdale. If you want to donate, just maybe you could write like in memory of Enzo here in the NOLA notes field. It would mean a lot to me, and it would give other people a chance who can't necessarily afford that kind of care to give their animals the best fighting chance. So thank you for all the love and support. I do appreciate it. And I don't want to end on a sad note. So if we have any other questions, please let's take them while we can.
Yeah.
DLux-8 Plaid Edition. Yes. I'm telling you.
How did they know?
I don't know. I mentioned it earlier. That's why. I would go for a DLux-8 Plaid Edition. This nice words about Enzo. Thank you. Appreciate it. But yeah, I mean, we're still going strong. We got another show next month. Mm-hmm. I have no idea what we're doing.
Hopefully with a new computer.
Yes, please. Hopefully. You better buy a new computer tomorrow.
Oh my gosh. Apologies for that.
I'm never going to forgive you.
And to all the people who made the comment about the Mac, I am a Mac user. Mm-hmm. but and I wish. I mean, there's an Apple Studio just a few feet away from me that we use for Lightroom.
That's right.
And I wish we could use that for this, but unfortunately, I need something. If any of you people out there know about Mac and how I can fit a 4x 4K capture card that also drives 4 studio monitors at 4K and does streaming and encoding all at the same time. That's not a PC. Let me know.
You should see this PC. It's like
It's a monster.
like a, I don't know how to describe it. It's massive.
Yeah.
And the amount of heat it puts off, like I'm literally sweating in the studio because of the amount of heat this thing puts off. Because, like David said, we're driving
a lot of
of
stuff.
things.
Yeah.
So, but thank you for everyone who stuck it out with us for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah, for sure.
We do apologize for the forced intermissions.
Yeah, but after this, we're going to take that big computer outside and run it over with my car.
Yes, as long as it's your car, not mine, we're fine. Actually, I don't think you could run over that. We need your truck.
Yeah, we need the truck.
We need the pickup truck, and then we can run over that thing because that is what it deserves. But not before we replace it.
Yes.
Anyway, if you have any additional DLux-8 questions, obviously you can throw them in the comments below, throw them in the chat, email us. We're happy to help. If you want to see I'm happy to share the images that I shot. If you want to play with the files, that's totally fine. I've already got them on Dropbox. So
Yep.
yeah.
And as always, if you want to support what we do here and you want to help us buy a new computer, be sure to do all your Leica shopping at Leica Store Miami. We're here to help, and all this lovely knowledge that you get here, you can also get from us.
Yeah, and be sure to
email
look
and
at our used stuff because I know we got an email going out this weekend, but I have been
Oh yeah.
getting tons of awesome pre-owned stuff for the last couple of weeks and just throwing it all up on the website like a crazy man. So
High quality stuff.
it's been quite a wild party of used stuff in my office. Jason, who if you're watching, you were just here and saw what my office looks like. It is quite a scene.
It is. Maybe one day we'll have a inside the office edition.
I don't think
Watch,
so.
all the comments are going to blow
My
up
office is a tiny windowless cave full of magical
Leica
secrets.
Yeah, full of Leica stuff.
Oh boy. All right, want to sign us off?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
So as I said, support the channel. Go to LeicaStoreMiami.com for all your Leica needs. Also, be sure if you want to actually put all these great cameras to use out in the world and want to meet and hang out with great like-minded people, check out our workshop program. We do tons of cool places all the time. And also check out red.forum.com for latest Leica news, reviews, firmware articles, etc. Also, you can check us out on Apple News if you're not already subscribed to that, and here on YouTube. So be sure to throw a like on the video, subscribe to the channel. I promise they usually go a lot smoother than this. Yeah, but apparently the streams don't do well if they don't get enough likes. That's the key.
Right. It's your fault for not liking our streams enough that it's crashing.
That's it. Yeah.
It's your fault.
And also keep an eye out on Red.Forum YouTube for other videos that aren't our 2-hour live stream, my rangefinder focusing tips video.
Which is awesome. Check it out.
Yep. And we have some new content in the works as well.
Sweet.
Big thanks to Josh. Thanks to Jose. Thanks to you guys both for tuning in and having some patience tonight through our technical difficulties. We do appreciate it.
Cool.
Yeah. Anyway, we're out. So have a great rest of the weekend, and we will see you in the next episode.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night.